In a still moment following an intense performance, Janet Jackson lingered in her dressing room, her heart weighed down by memories. The stage lights still danced in her mind, but it wasn't the applause of the audience that resonated within her. Instead, it was the memory of her brother, Michael, and the haunting silence that came after his passing. The years had passed, but the questions remained. Janet had always felt that there was more to Michael's passing than the world understood. It was a conversation she had avoided, a truth too heavy to bear, but now, she was ready to share her story. One evening, during a private family gathering, Janet found herself surrounded by loved ones reminiscing about Michael. As laughter filled the room, the weight of unspoken words pressed against her chest. That's when she decided to reveal her suspicions. "There's something I need to tell you all," she began, her voice steady yet soft. "I've been thinking about everything that happened, and I believe Michael's death wasn't just a tragic accident. I think it was planned." A hush fell over the room, and all eyes turned to her. Her brother's death had been shrouded in conspiracy theories, but Janet's words were rooted in a deep intuition that had grown over the years. "I remember the late-night conversations we had," she continued. "He felt like he was being watched, like there were forces out there wanting to silence him. He talked about how fame came with a price, and sometimes, it felt like the people closest to him were the most dangerous." The family exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of concern and understanding. Janet could see the worry in their eyes, but she pressed on. Michael was a visionary. He wanted to change the world, but there were those who didn't want that. They wanted to control him. Janet recalled a specific incident that haunted her. Just weeks before his death, Michael had confided in her about feeling threatened. He said something big was coming, that it would shake the world. "I thought he was just being dramatic, but now I wonder if he knew too much." As she spoke, memories flooded back, Michael's late-night phone calls, his increasing paranoia, and those strange encounters with people he didn't trust. It was as if she could feel the ghosts of those moments in the room with them, urging her to unveil the truth. The conversation shifted from disbelief to contemplation. Janet's family, while still grappling with their grief, began to piece together the shadows that had always lingered around Michael's life. They discussed the pressures of fame, the industry's darker corners, and the lengths some would go to maintain control. In that intimate setting, surrounded by her family, Janet felt a sense of purpose. This was not just about revealing a hidden truth, but about honoring her brother's legacy. She envisioned a world where his message of love and unity lived on, free from the chains of fear and manipulation. As the night wore on, Janet made a silent vow to herself and to Michael. She would not let his story fade into mere headlines or speculation. She would continue to speak out, not just for him, but for all those who felt silenced. In the weeks that followed, she began to share her insights through interviews and public appearances. The world watched as Janet Jackson emerged not only as a performer but as a voice for justice. She called for transparency in the entertainment industry, urging others to break their silence, to share their stories, and to stand against the shadows that threatened creativity and expression. Through her advocacy, Janet hoped to create a legacy that would honor Michael, inspiring others to embrace their truth and never let fear silence their voices. And though the pain of loss would never fully fade, she felt a renewed sense of connection to her brother, a guiding light that would continue to illuminate her path. As Janet delved deeper into her advocacy, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. Each interview, each speech, became a tribute not just to Michael, but to the many artists and creators who had felt the suffocating weight of the industry. She realized that her voice had the power to resonate with others who had faced similar struggles. One day, while preparing for a particularly high-profile interview, Janet received a message from a former collaborator of Michael's. The note was cryptic, hinting at secrets that could reveal the truth behind her brother's death. Intrigued and wary, she agreed to meet, feeling a mix of hope and apprehension. The meeting took place in a secluded cafe, dimly lit and buzzing with quiet conversations. When the collaborator arrived, Janet felt a surge of nostalgia as she recognized the familiar face, yet it was tinged with a sense of caution. After exchanging pleasantries, they dove into the heart of the matter. "I've been watching you speak out," he began, his voice low. "You're touching on things that many have tried to bury. There are whispers in the industry, Janet. Whispers about what really happened to Michael." Janet leaned in, her heart racing. "What do you know?" He hesitated, glancing around the cafe as if the shadows might listen. Michael had enemies. People who wanted to silence him not just for what he was saying, but for what he was about to expose. He was working on a project that would have changed everything, exposing corruption in the industry. Janet's mind raced. She had heard Michael mention similar ideas in passing but had brushed them off as typical brotherly ambition. What project? What did he find? The collaborator took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. He had evidence, things that could shake the foundations of the music industry. And there were those who feared he would share it. After his death, I found traces of that evidence, but it disappeared overnight. The revelation sent chills down Janet's spine. Michael had always had an innate ability to sense danger, and now, it felt as if that instinct had saved her from a similar fate. "What do we do now?" she asked, urgency creeping into her voice. "Keep talking. The more light you shine on this, the harder it will be for them to keep it buried. There are others who want to come forward. You just have to lead the way." Fueled by this newfound knowledge, Janet organized a series of roundtable discussions with fellow artists, producers, and industry veterans. The goal was to create a safe space for sharing experiences and building a collective voice against the darker elements of the entertainment world. Each meeting was cathartic, a blend of storytelling and healing, revealing layers of fear and resilience. During one session, a young singer spoke of the manipulative tactics she faced from powerful figures in the industry. "I felt like I was drowning," she said, tears glistening in her eyes. "I thought I had to choose between my dreams and my integrity." Janet listened intently, her heart aching for the girl's struggle. "You're not alone. This isn't just your fight, it's all of ours. We're here to support each other." With each meeting, more stories emerged, a tapestry of shared struggles and triumphs. Artists began to connect the dots, recognizing the patterns of manipulation that had affected them. It was a movement, slowly gaining momentum, echoing Michael's message of unity. As the movement grew, Janet faced backlash from those who felt threatened by her voice. Social media became a battleground, with anonymous accounts attempting to discredit her and undermine her efforts. But with each attack, Janet felt more empowered. She refused to let fear silence her. One evening, she decided to take a bold step. She hosted a public event called Voices of Truth, inviting artists from all backgrounds to share their stories on a grand stage. It was a risk, but she believed in the power of collective storytelling. The night arrived, and the venue buzzed with anticipation. As Janet stood backstage, her heart raced. She could feel the weight of her brother's spirit guiding her. When she stepped onto the stage, the audience erupted in applause, but she quickly silenced them with a raised hand. "Tonight isn't about me," she said, her voice steady. "It's about all of us. It's about the truths we've buried and the voices we've silenced. Let's stand together, not just for ourselves, but for those who came before us, like my brother, Michael." As artists took turns sharing their stories, the atmosphere shifted. Raw emotion filled the air, tears and laughter intertwined as they spoke of resilience and hope. Janet watched, her heart swelling with pride as the stage transformed into a sanctuary of truth. The event went viral, igniting a movement across social media. Hashtags like #VoicesOfTruth and #WeAreMichael spread like wildfire, uniting artists worldwide. Janet's efforts had become a catalyst, encouraging others to break their silence and reclaim their narratives. Months later, as she looked out at a sea of fans holding candles in honor of Michael during a memorial event, Janet felt an overwhelming sense of closure. This was more than a tribute, it was a celebration of truth and love. In that moment, she knew she had honored her brother's legacy in the way he would have wanted, by empowering others to speak out and shine a light on the darkness. As she closed her eyes, whispering a silent prayer to Michael, she felt a warm breeze brush past her. It was as if he were there, a gentle reminder that love and truth would always prevail, guiding them through the shadows.